Welcome to Planet MicroCap. I'm your host, Robert Kraft, and joining me today is Diane Garrett. She is the president and CEO of Hycroft Mining. It's a publicly traded company. The symbol is HYMC on NASDAQ, and Hycroft will be presenting at the upcoming Precious Metals Summit Beaver Creek, happening September 13th through 16th, 2022. For more information, please go to precioussummit.com. And with that, Diane, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, and thank you for having me, Robert.
Let's just start off for anybody that doesn't know the Hycroft story or hasn't been following the news and seeing what's going on. What would you say is that quick overview of Hycroft Mining?
Sure. So our management team came in about 2 years ago. Well, actually, it's going on 3 years now. And so we're transitioning Hycroft into its next phase of large-scale commercial operations, which is processing the sulfide ore. There has been a lot of activity going on. We were looking to raise some money, and I was introduced to Adam Aron, the CEO of AMC Entertainment, because Hycroft became a meme stock. He also became a meme stock. And the purpose of us communicating was how he managed that event and how he embraced that new audience, and they became long-term shareholders of his. And we were chatting about that. And next thing you know, he became so intrigued by what we were doing, and the company was looking to diversify into other avenues. And we ended up raising $56 million between him and Eric Sprott, which then allowed us to do a follow-on at the market equity raise for an additional $138 million. So we put an enormous amount of money in the treasury, and now we're conducting one of the largest exploration programs ever in more than a decade at Hycroft. And we're taking a new look at this asset. We can talk more about that in a minute. Yeah, that's a quick overview.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you hit on exactly where I wanted to go with, because the last time we did an interview together, we published that on September 7th, 2021. Clearly the biggest news since then. I mean, it's funny when you go and read the press release, you're like, okay, the first part, announces 56 million equity investment from renowned precious metals investor Eric Sprott. You're like, okay, we've seen that quite a bit in the mining industry, right? Eric Sprott, he's kind of a guy, right? And then AMC Entertainment, you're like, okay, how did this go down? So I'd love to learn a little bit more about the perspective. What did the CEO from AMC, Adam Aron, what did they see about the assets? What about it were they like, okay, we want to put this money in Hycroft, versus probably what they had was their pick of the litter of other assets that they could have put money in as well?
Exactly. So, it was a really interesting thing, and I'll have to just follow on is interesting and fascinating it is to you and others. In the mining sector alone, every company was talking about it and saying, we tend to be herd followers in our industry, and everybody goes to the same investors, the same investor base, those who understand our business, and how unique and entrepreneurial and forward thinking to go out to a group that is it, what we did by bringing AMC Theater in is we also brought in an entirely new shareholder base. So AMC's long-term followers now have become Hycroft followers. And so we're now in very much a social media, retail controlled company. And now we've flipped all of our communication to video content, because that's the way people get content these days. Over 80% of the people, as you well know, right? They don't go to your website and read press releases. They'll watch a 1.5 or 2 minute video on YouTube. So we do a lot of that. So it was quite remarkable what we did. And we enjoy that as a company and a management of kind of doing the unthinkable and stepping outside the box. But for Adam at AMC, they had disclosed to the market that they were going to be looking to invest in businesses outside their core business. We started talking. He became fascinated by our industry. And if you're not in the precious metal space, it is kind of exciting and special to talk about gold mining. And he just became very, very interested. We clicked very well, and he kept wanting to know more and more about what we were doing. And we both shared similar stories, how, the stock had come under pressure for reasons outside of the fundamental core business, much like AMC. Our respective stocks had been shorted by a lot of people out there, and we were coming under pressure and we needed help. And he said, I'm fascinated by this industry. I want to advance these discussions. But he said, I think this looks like a great avenue to fulfill one of our strategic objectives, which is investing in things outside of our core business. And so, he was very diligent in a lot of his questions. I met with some of his team, and then he said he needed to come to site. And I said, one of the things that I mentioned Eric Sprott and how Eric Sprott is a renowned precious metals investor, and Eric invested heavily behind our former company, Remarco, and that also would lend some validity and credibility to an investment. And it would also help him because he doesn't know me from anybody. He doesn't know the company, but we went kind of through my history and track record, and I connected him with Eric Sprott, and they both decided to do this. So yeah, it was just great. He came to site, and at the time we were working on a couple of other financings. And of course we would have loved to have done the deal with AMC, but they were able to move in our time frame, and it's just been a phenomenal relationship ever since.
Absolutely. Okay. So now let's, you bring up an interesting point, how, you've garnered some of the following from AMC as a result of their investment in Hycroft. And you mentioned how, there's been a lot more video content as a result, because, now, this is the thing that we always run into, especially in microcaps, is having to translate, the idea of junior mining exploration to more Main Street audience to make it more understandable. So how has that experience been like, especially with the recent announcement of, as you say here, the largest exploration program in the company's history?
Yeah, so it's been a great avenue. A lot of our shareholders do not know a lot about mining, but I will say that in talking to a lot of groups in the millennial world, second to crypto, mining is the next most popular topic that they're following. So I think we are gaining some traction there. Communicating through video is that, that's how I talk to that entire shareholder base. Whether it's just a quick video to explain a press release, they email, I answer a lot of questions. We're getting ready to start some interactive type communication and meetings through our new website that we're going to be launching. So that will allow them more direct contact. I found that they're just amazed that the CEO will actually respond to their emails personally, and they've just never experienced that because they tend to invest in much larger companies. But Adam, is very much the same way. We both believe in being accessible to our shareholder base. So the whole social media and video content is a new era for us, but it's one that I really think it's the wave of the future. As we go forward as companies, the old kind of brick and mortar way we've always done it for the last 20, 30 years doesn't seem to apply in today's world. So we're going to keep doing more of it.
Absolutely. Okay. So let's talk about the projects a little bit. As I just said, the company just announced that it's launching this largest exploration program in nearly a decade on your property. So tell us a little bit about that, and what can folks, from what you can tell us, expect from maybe some of the initial results that you've seen so far?
Sure. So we haven't disclosed any results. We just kicked off the program a few weeks ago. And as you can imagine, and most companies will tell you, all the labs are backlogged and having trouble getting help. I think it's all a fallout from the COVID situation, right? But the reason we're so excited about this is, look, Hycroft is, one of North America's largest gold and silver deposits. It's in the top 20 in the world, but it is low grade. And better grade obviously means better economics, which means better return for your shareholders' investment. We noticed when we came in that there was an awful lot of higher grade intercepts. We see where the higher grade occurs within this system, the intersection of different faults and shear zones. And so we've realized in talking to geologists who've worked this project over the last 15 years that the goal in the past was just to step out from the known deposits, make it bigger, and continue along that way. But we don't see any evidence that anyone has sat back and said, what is creating this 20+ million ounce gold equivalent deposit? And what could possibly be feeding that system? The geophysics report indicate there's 3 potential feeder systems. So we are conducting this program so that we can come in and target those higher grade opportunities, look at targeting these potential feeder zones. And also our resource, as large as it is, only represents 2% of our land position. We have over 60,000 acres that's never been explored. And we see historic drill holes for when Lac Minerals owned the property, where they hit very nice intercepts, and then no one ever followed up on that. So we're actually going to do some exploring within the district and looking at other areas. And we know in the mining, the best place to find a mine is next to another one. And we have within our land position the past producing high grade Rosebud mine, which was one of the biggest, highest grade producers between Newmont and Hecla at the time. So we have the right rocks, we have high grade in the area, we've got this massive resource contained in a massive land position. And while we're finishing the technical studies for the next phase of operation, we think it's prudent for us to come out and do some exploration to improve the grade, to identify potentially higher grade deposits, and also explore within the district and target some of these feeder systems, because that, if we're successful in that regard, that will completely change the perception of the Hycroft asset, and certainly will make it a much more valuable proposition as we go forward for our shareholders.
Absolutely. So I usually, you kind of already answered my next question. I usually close out with everything here, but I'm going to adjust it a little bit because of kind of the uniqueness of Hycroft's story in the last 6 to 12 months. So as with this new investment and this new, I guess you'd say, understanding of the business, or new eyeballs to the business. What have been some of the most frequently asked questions that you've gotten, and then maybe we can address them real quick right here.
Well, frequently asked questions. Well, everybody wants to know when we're going to be up and running in production, right? And we're finishing off the technical studies. Things take a little bit longer in our industry versus, say, oil and gas or different industries, or even in the theater business where you have a new movie coming out every couple of weeks, right? But the questions are, how much bigger can it become, and what potentially could be the high grade opportunities. And the other question is, what are the economics of the project as we know it today? And that's going to be the outcome of the technical studies that we're hoping to get out early next year, so that we can demonstrate, here's the net present value of the property, the rate of return, here's what it's going to cost to build the mill portion, those types of things.
Very good. All right. Well, with that, Diane, where can our audience go and find more information on Hycroft?
So you can find more information at www.hycroftmining.com. And we think it's going to be a real exciting year for us. We've got pretty much the same team that we had at Remarco, where we did the unthinkable over there. And we're going to apply that same kind of entrepreneurial thinking to Hycroft and hope for a lot of success for our shareholders this year.
Absolutely. Well, Diane, thank you so much for joining me today. Really do appreciate it. Good luck, stay safe, and look forward to seeing you in Beaver Creek.
Yes, we'll see you there. Thanks so much for your time, Robert. Great to see you again.
Good to see you too. Again, Hycroft Mining will be presenting at the upcoming Precious Metal Summit Beaver Creek, happening September 13th through 16th, 2022. For more information, please go to precioussummit.com.